Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, unfortunately, but without surprise, the newly signed peace deal has not yielded much fruit, and fighting has resurfaced in various parts of the world's newest country. As usual, the blame game is being played in South Sudan with the warring factions, with the rebel leader also accusing the government of violating a ceasefire hours after it came into effect. On his part, Riek Machar says the army attacked his forces in 2 northern states, and those are allegations which the military denies. This is the 8th ceasefire put in place to try to end the brutal 20-month conflict. Now, indeed, there are some obstacles to the peace being restored.
There was not one shred of evidence which highlighted that we proposed fake news, that we aided and abetted a terrorist network, and that we were doing anything illegally. I think people need to understand something. As an international news organization, we can be in any country as long as we follow the right procedures, but we don't need a broadcasting license when we're in that country, because we're not reporting to that country or adhering to local laws. And I think it's doesn't matter what evidence you put up against Al Jazeera, this is purely now a political case.
Now, just before I let you go, Mr. Patel, is there anything your network is doing differently or plans to do differently to ensure that history doesn't repeat itself in terms of protecting your staff?
I think we took every single decision capable within our boundaries to ensure that our staff were protected. We did all our health and safety checks. Our staff knew what was going on. We didn't force anybody. The question here, I personally think at this moment, is not to ask what Al Jazeera could or could not have done. Even if there was an administrative error, you do not put 3 men behind bars for 10 years and then 3 years for something so minuscule. The fault lies with the Egyptian authorities. And I think one thing before I can conclude is that this isn't a message to Al Jazeera. This is a message, as one of my former colleagues who works for another news network said, to international journalists that have basically been told, be careful, this could be you. But more importantly, there are 68 journalists behind bars in Egypt. The Egyptians say they don't have no journalists behind bars, but there are 68 journalists behind bars. So it basically tells the Egyptian journalists, be careful what you write, or you can end up behind bars.
Well said, Mr. Hassan Patel. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your input as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Mr. Hassan Patel is a senior public relations and media person for Al Jazeera, reporting from Doha. Still to come on Network Africa. Despite the international criticism which Egypt is facing, parliamentary election dates are announced. They will now hold on the 18th and 19th of October. Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, despite the international condemnation which it's received and how it's handled the case of the Al Jazeera journalists, Egypt has turned its attention to other matters and is ready to hold its parliamentary elections. This is essential as Egypt has been without a parliament since June of 2012, when a court dissolved the democratically elected body. The head of Egypt's High Elections Committee, Ayman Abbas, announced that the first round of voting will begin on October the 18th. And voting was originally scheduled for March of this year, but was delayed when a court ruled part of the election law unconstitutional. The second round of voting is now scheduled for late November, and the government says the parliamentary election is proof of Egypt's commitment to democracy. For more on this development of the parliamentary elections, we go live to Cairo, where the Voice of America's Heather Murdoch is standing by. Heather, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Now, how are Egyptians reacting to the possibility of a new parliament in just a couple of months?
Well, some people are quite excited about it. One thing the parliament may do is it might show Egypt as a more legitimate government, and it might ease the fears of some international investors. That's what Egyptians are hoping for anyway. There's also a bit of cynicism about elections here, because all of the elections since Mubarak fell in 2011 have been fraught with problems. And so people are hoping they will go peacefully and they will go successfully and represent the people, but there's a lot of cynicism about it.
Ask about the timing right now. Could it be that there is a sense of urgency to review some laws passed in Egypt recently? I'm asking if that could have contributed to the need for the elections to come up the way they have.
Well, there is, about 2 weeks ago, a very controversial law that was passed that is an anti-terrorism law. It's controversial because opponents say that it will be used to silence opponents and the press. However, that I don't think that these kinds of laws are why the parliamentary elections are coming up so soon, because President Sisi, who passed the law by decree, was a big part of getting these elections off the ground and getting it started. But it does raise an important question about what the new parliament is going to do. Is this parliament going to review all of the laws Sisi has been passing by decree with no lawmakers in place? So that's what we're hoping to find out.
Yeah, indeed, we'll have to wait for that. But based on what you just said, bringing up the anti-terrorism bill, I had to ask at this point, based on what happened, what we saw happen on Saturday with the jailing of the journalists and also this new anti-terrorism bill, which many have condemned, would you say it is safe to be a journalist in Egypt?
Well, a lot of the journalists here, including myself, are asking the same question. Last week, we were talking about this new law, and one of the thoughts is the new law in terms of journalism might not even be applied to journalists. In fact, it could be on paper to quiet criticism and to get people to censor. But we were also all really shocked by the Al Jazeera decision. Most people thought they would be either acquitted or convicted and given time served and somehow be going back with their families at the end of the day. So that was kind of shocking. I can say for sure that it's not safe to be an Al Jazeera journalist here, and Al Jazeera is banned, so there are none technically here. But in terms of danger for us in general, it's a little too early to say. So far, there haven't been reports of government harassment of any foreign journalists.
And hopefully there won't be any. Thank you so much, Heather, for speaking with us. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Voice of America's Heather Murdoch reporting from Cairo. Still to come on Network Africa. We take a deeper look at the crisis in South Sudan now that the 8 peace deal has collapsed, with fighting erupting in parts of the world's newest country.